the top of your page, I want you to write these 4 different dollar amounts from left to right across your page. Write $3,500, $6,500, $9,500, and $14,500. Those are the 4 different amounts of cash flow that you can receive. So I want you to put a star by the amount of cash flow that you want to receive. Now, the first thing I want you to see is that your marketing system only needs to find one person for your receiving line for you to start generating cash flow. The second thing I want you to see is that all the cash flow is going to come directly to your door, because whose name is on the top of that page? It's yours. And this is all about you. For the following examples, we are going to use the $6,500 amount, because our membership database statistics show that over 90% of our members worldwide are generating cash flow at the $6,500 level or higher. Now, on the left-hand side of the page, beside the number 1 there, I want you to write the name Alan. Now, Alan is one of the many people who will find you through our automated marketing system, which will send him to your very own personalized copy of this website. Now, in this example, the database software has placed Alan on your receiving line number 1. Now, to get started, Alan immediately sends his cash pledge to you. Ka-ching! You just had $6,500 cash delivered to your door. So would $6,500 in the next 24 to 48 hours make a difference in you and your family's life? Of course it will. Now I want you to write down $6,500 to the right of Alan's name. Now let's look at Alan. Alan plugs into his own automated marketing system to get started and finds Bob, who goes to Alan's website. Alan calls Bob and gives him any additional information he needs and sends him to his website to sign up. Now Bob joins online, and the database software places Bob on your receiving line. So right beside the number 2 there, I want you to write the name Bob. So to get started, Bob immediately sends his cash pledge to you. Ka-ching! Another $6,500 cash is delivered to your door. Now, right there is the magic of the 1-up. It's called 1-up for a reason, because we all qualify by giving 1-up. But you only do that one time, and after that, you are now qualified to receive cash forever. Now, most people get this qualifier done in the first 24 to 48 hours because of our system. Now, our system is the key to your success. Now, listen carefully, because here is the 1-up qualifier explained. Since Bob joined with Alan, the database software placed Bob on your receiving line as Alan's 1-up qualifier and gives Bob to you. Now, this is great news for both you and Alan, because Alan is now qualified forever to start generating cash flow at the $6,500 level, and the database software allows Alan to break away and move off of your receiving line and start his own receiving line number 1. This 1-up qualifier process that you're drawing now will work in the same exact way for Alan and all of your members. However, Bob stays right there with you on your receiving line as Alan's replacement. So next to Alan's name, I want you to write the letter Q. That stands for qualified. And just to the right of Bob's name, I want you to write $6,500. Remember me saying that your marketing system only needs to find one person for your receiving line for you to start generating cash flow, and that all the cash flow is going to come directly to your door? Well, your marketing system has found only one person, and that was Alan, and yet you've received $13,000 cash. So there you go. Now Bob plugs into his marketing system and finds Cindy. Now Cindy joins online. Now because Cindy is Bob's 1-up qualifier, the database software places Cindy in your receiving line. So right below Bob's name, next to the number 3 there, I want you to write the name Cindy. Now to get started, Cindy immediately sends her cash pledge to you. Ka-ching! Another $6,500 cash is delivered directly to your door. Now Bob just qualified forever, and the software allows Bob to break away and start his receiving line number 1, just like Alan qualified, just like you'll qualify. Bob is now qualified forever. However, Cindy stays right there on your receiving line as Bob's replacement. So up above next to Bob's name, write the letter Q for qualified, and to the right of Cindy, let's write $6,500. Now Cindy plugs into her marketing system and finds Dan. Now Dan joins online. Now because Dan is Cindy's 1-up qualifier, the database software places Dan in your receiving line. So just below Cindy's name, next to the number 4 there, I want you to write the name Dan. So to get started, Dan immediately sends his cash pledge to you. Ka-ching! $6,500 cash delivered to your door. Now Cindy just qualified forever, and the software allows Cindy to break away and start her own receiving line number 1. However, Dan stays right there with you as Cindy's replacement. So next to Cindy, let's write a letter Q for qualified, and let's write $6,500 to the right of Dan's name. Let's review, because this is simple to understand. Each new member qualifies by doing 2 things. Number 1, they send their cash pledge to you. And number 2, they give you a 1-up qualifier as their replacement. Let's look at Alan again. He gave you $6,500 for his pledge, and his 1-up qualifier Bob as his replacement. Then Bob gave you $6,500 for his pledge, and his 1-up qualifier Cindy as his replacement. And Cindy gave you $6,500 for her pledge, and her 1-up qualifier Dan as her replacement. Now this is what is called infinite leverage. And infinite leverage is one of the most powerful financial principles in the world. And it's working for you 24/7 on your receiving line number 1. And it's now on autopilot. Notice that Alan, Bob, and Cindy are qualified forever at the $6,500 level. However, Dan is not qualified, and he stays on your receiving line until he gives you his 1-up qualifier as his replacement. Infinite leverage means that this process continues on and on to infinity. Did you get that? Next to number 5 there, I want you to write down $6,500. Next to number 6, I want you to write $6,500. Next to number 7, I want you to write $6,500. Next to number 8, write $6,500. At number 9, write $6,500. Out beside number 10, I want you to write $6,500. Now, out beside number 10 there, I want you to write $65,000, because that's what 10 times $6,500 equals. Now, directly below the number 10 there, I want you to skip ahead. I want you to write the number 50 there. And out the side next to the number 50, I want you to write $325,000. Now, that's 50 times $6,500. And that's the kind of cash flow that the infinite leverage can produce. And it continues on for infinity. However, I have a question. How many people has your marketing system found for you? That's right, just one person, and that was Alan. Now listen carefully. And at the bottom of your page there where you wrote $325,000, I want you to skip over to the right a couple of inches, and I want you to write down another financial principle. Write down compound leverage. Listen carefully because this is where it gets amazing. Each new person that your voicemail marketing system finds for you starts a brand new receiving line and compounds your cash flow. So I want you to go up your page and straight across to the right where you wrote receiving line number 1. Skip over to the right a couple of inches, and I want you to write receiving line number 2. And directly below that, I want you to write the name John. Now, John joins online and sends his $6,500 pledge to you. Ka-ching! Another $6,500 cash delivered to your door. And John must also give his one-up qualifier person to you as his replacement when he's qualified. So here it is. The principle of infinite leverage that is working in receiving line number 1 will now start working with John and receiving line number 2. And it's on autopilot and can run straight down your page under John, just like the numbers of dollar amounts that you drew out underneath Alan, 10, 20, 50, and on to infinity. Now you can fill in the numbers in a dollar amount and do the math later. But the point is, and really listen to this, you could apply this principle of infinite leverage by letting your callers use this automated marketing system so that they too can generate thousands of dollars for their family with perfect, simple duplication. And that's how you start receiving multiple receiving lines and have cash delivered to your door daily. Now let me ask you a question. How many receiving lines do you want on autopilot, creating infinite leverage for you and your family? Do you want 10, 20, 30, 40, or more? I know a guy who over the past 2 years has developed over 600 receiving lines. The possibilities are endless, and the cash flow is enormous. There's no limit. We'll show you lead sources with millions of people that you can direct to hear your own personalized copy of this website, because everyone is looking for a marketing system and an opportunity that delivers thousands of dollars to their door ethically and simply. And this doesn't take thousands of people like all those other programs. Look at what you've received with just one person, Alan. Now, by finding one person a week, you would have 52 receiving lines in the next year. And a lot of our members are finding a lot more than one person a day. Now, even though you're hearing this for the first time, I want you to step back and see this through the eyes of your guests like Alan, Bob, and Cindy, and realize that each of them is highly motivated to give you their one-up qualifier immediately so that they can start receiving cash. And that's why you can start receiving cash in just 24 to 48 hours from right now. You see, our members are paying bills, replacing incomes, paying cash for automobiles, building custom homes, and financial legacies for generations to come and for their children. We have new members generating over $50,000 to $100,000 a month, and that's not an exaggeration. In 4 months, they've received over $200,000 to $400,000. Now, best of all, you can do this part-time in your spare time, full-time, or anytime, and that's just why you could be receiving thousands of dollars to your own door starting in the next 24 to 48 hours from now. Let me ask you a question, and just be honest with yourself. Has anyone ever offered you the use of an automated marketing system that has generated millions, that finds all the people for you and explains everything for you professionally and offers this marketing system to every person, all done for you in a systematic way, and to top it off, delivers all of the cash directly to your door on autopilot? Have they? Well, that's a pretty good deal, I think. So step back, think, and see this through the eyes of every person that goes through your own personalized copy of this website, like Alan or Bob or Cindy and Dan. You see, if you start thinking outside the box and take action, you can get out of the box of being in debt and living paycheck to paycheck. I want you to look at the top of your page where you wrote $3,500, $6,500, $9,500, and $14,500. Which one of those amounts did you put a star beside? Because if you're like 90% of our members, you want to start receiving $6,500 or higher immediately to your door. If you're not at the highest level, you'll want to upgrade as soon as possible to prevent the cash roll-up. Now, here's what a roll-up is. Let's look at Alan there, and let's say you get started at the $3,500 amount. Now, Alan started with a $6,500 package, and the tracking software will tell Alan to send the $3,500 directly to you, because $3,500 is the level that you started at, and it's the maximum amount that you can receive from each person on your receiving line until you upgrade. But what happens to that other $3,000? You see, the software is cheat-proof and automatically seeks out the first person above you that is qualified at the $6,500 or $9,500 levels, and that $3,000 roll-up will go to them until you upgrade to that next higher level. Now, perhaps finding the money to get started is your concern. This isn't something that you don't do because you didn't have the money just sitting there. You stretch to create the cash flow that you need to generate and have money forever. So I'm going to show you a proven strategy that has worked for tens of thousands of people that will give you the $6,500 or the $9,500 amount in a very short period of time. As a matter of fact, over 95% of our members get started by using Wall Street's financial secret of leverage and employ the temporary use of other people's money. Napoleon Hill talked about OPM, other people's money, as a major financial strategy for success, and it's how most franchises and small business operators get their new business started. Here's what you do if you don't have the funds to get started just laying around in your bank account. People have cashed in their 401ks, or maybe you have stocks you could sell, or maybe you have availability on your personal credit cards. You get started immediately using OPM and position yourself in front of as much of the money as possible. Let's say that's the $3,500 amount. You then plug into your system and start generating the cash flow, because cash is king, and that's why you're really here, right? Then you take some of the money that you received and you upgrade as soon as possible to the highest $9,500 level, and you're there forever. And it's just that simple. Now I want to talk to you right here from the heart for a second. This is a private membership activity. We're not a bunch of professional salespeople. We want to invite you to understand what we're offering here, because this activity, this program, is all about people helping other people, and we want you to feel comfortable about getting started and helping others get started as well. Today, people are mortgaging their homes, and they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and their life savings on franchises and other types of business opportunities just to lose more time and freedom for an average income. Why complicate things when at the end of the day, the reason you're honestly here is because, plain and simple, you just want more cash in your life, period. So, just use this marketing system to create multiple streams of cash flow for you and your family. Because if you don't, other people just like you will watch this same video, and they will get the point and understand that at the end of the day, keeping things simple and straightforward is the fastest way to get what they really want. The good news is, we'll be right here to explain everything to your guests for you. So don't miss out. Take action right now and start experiencing the power of this system, starting immediately. God bless, and I wish you and your family all the best.